Back on the disco, Burnham and Tilly report their findings to Pike, explaining why the Ba'ul thought Saru a threat. Just as Bryce reports the Ba'ul are hailing them again, they are relieved to hear Saru's voice, reporting that he is with Sarana in a Ba'ul structure of some sort, but with no indicators as to their location. Can't locate him on the sensors either. Burnham reports what was found in the sphere's archives, which confirms Saru's suspicions of his own biological abilities, as well as the Ba'ul's intent to maintain their great balance. Why is this still... Okay, obviously we know what they're up to. Why are we still talking this apart? I mean, we figured it out. It doesn't take Scooby-Doo and the gang to come in here and put this one together, you know?
Nope.
No. Saru believes that he must somehow demonstrate to both his people and the Ba'ul alike that they could become, just as Saru had been. Tilly recalls that the sphere had triggered Saru's Vahar'ai, but Saru believes the process must be accelerated before the Ba'ul can take action. Burnham believes that if they could isolate the frequency of the sound waves... I love science! The sphere transmitted, it could speed up the biological response just as it had for Saru. Pike has reservations. I assume he had somewhere to take Battelle that night for dinner, but he's not going to make it, so he has to cancel his reservations. What if history repeats itself? The Federation could not be responsible for the extinction of the Ba'ul. Burnham points out that the Ba'ul still had vast technological superiority, which would take the Kelpians generations to catch up to. Generations, Saru adds, for the Ba'ul to come to terms with the thing they fear the most about Kelpians. Not their so-called baser instincts, but their rage.
Yeah, this is, kind of, I've been, ever since a trip to Fort Monroe I had, I don't know, a couple months ago, I've been reading about the Civil War, and that's kind of what some of the Southerners were worried about in terms of freeing their slaves, that they would, not necessarily their quote-unquote baser instincts, but their rage. What do you think they're going to do with this freedom once it's all said and done? They're going to come for our heads, pretty much. It was a worry that they had. So it kind of reminded me of this whole thing that Saru's talking about here.
You know, I try to still keep room in my heart to be nice towards Southern people, even though a lot of them seem to be leaning back on this, the lost cause fallacy and like all these, all the stuff they've come up. Oh, states' rights. It wasn't about slavery. It was about this, that, and the other. But
yeah, a state's right to what, buddy?
To own slaves.
So yes, you're right, but so am I.
I try to be a little more charitable in my heart towards some of this stuff. Because in my younger days, I kind of like looked at Atlanta and thought, maybe we should just kept burning. Stuff like that would come up in my head. And it's not right. But at some point, what you're doing is wrong and you're going to have to let go of this thing. And
yeah, especially if you know that the second somebody has their freedom, they're coming at you with a certain amount of rage. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing is wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's your reason for not letting them go, then you know already what you're doing is wrong. It's not an arguable point.
Yeah.
And it's going to have to end, And I don't know. How long did people think that they could hold off? I guess reading about Custer's Last Stand, where you push and you push and you push and you push, and one day everybody just has it until the women and children fight back and you end up with awls in your ears because you wouldn't listen.
Well, I mean, obviously their worst fear never came true, at least not at the level that they assumed it would, which I imagine it will be pretty the same here for the Ba'ul and the Kelpians, to draw a little bit of a parallel here.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a good parallel that I wouldn't have really thought of examining. All right, so we smash apart the drones, and he's looking for skeleton keys or whatever it is he's looking for. Oh, so they come up with this plan that they're going to deploy this sound. Pike's not really sure about doing it, and they kind of talk through the points that you were just making. Saru points out that his belief is this is why that the red signal was here on Kaminar. Burnham starts asking the particulars about how to broadcast the sphere's transmission on the entire planet. At this point, we discover that this is what Saru's been making from his junk drones over here. He explains to his sister that this will trigger everybody's Vahar'ai, which is going to be, like, not comfortable. Sarana asks him to promise her that whatever happens, it will not be the end of their people. Saru replies that it will not be an end, but a new beginning. Saru activates the transmitter, which begins sending out the signal through the Baul pylons. His sister begins to scream in agony, collapsing into his arms as she begins to undergo the Vahar'ai. I wonder how many times I've said that word in tonight's episode.
A lot more than you've said it in all the other episodes combined, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. On the Discovery, now at a yellow alert, Burnham reports that the sphere's transmission has triggered the Vahar'ai in 63% of Kelpians and rising.